what we use for Laguna Seca. So this is how I do setups for a team or an endurance race. So I set up these kind of Excel or Google Drive sheets, and what we do is, this is the typical format. It really depends on how you want to set them up, but to me this is the easiest way to set it up. I can do it for any race that we're doing, and it's a really good way to evaluate feedback. So let me kind of show you how I use these, and then kind of talk you through it, and then show you how we used it for this setup, and then we'll start to develop one for the Donington setup, since that's going to be a team event as well. If you guys have any questions about this while I'm going through it, just let me know, guys. This is supposed to be kind of a I'm trying to do, like, when we do these streams, I'm trying to do kind of like a video type content, just to add value here, because I know sometimes just watching me do hot laps is no bueno. It's not the most exciting thing to watch. But okay, let's kind of talk through this setup, right? So typically I like to have the track map on the sheet, just so everyone knows what corners we're all referencing, right? Most people know what the corner numbers are or the corner names, but it's always good just to have it on the sheet, so there's no questions, right? We know this turn 5 is this turn 5. So always have a track map on there. And then what I do is I have this table for every driver, right? Every driver is going to be filling it out, and we're going to be evaluating where there might be crossover points. So here, let's just look at this, the columns here. This is for my feedback. First is the turn number, right? We need to know where on the track this is, what corner this is for. Then what I do is the speed of the corner. I actually add this row myself after everyone's added feedback. This is just to help me evaluate what are the average mid-corner speeds here. If it's above 120, I classify as high speed. If it's below that, I classify as like a low speed or mid speed. Mid speed is like between like 60 to 120, and then obviously sub 60 kilometers per hour is going to be a low speed corner. That's just going to help me understand, you know, if something's aero sensitive or maybe a little less aero sensitive, to kind of help me kind of think about my thought pattern. So then the next columns are going to be your entry response. How does the car feel on entry, right? Is it a little bit too responsive, meaning as you get it just a little bit of steering input, it really gets a lot of yaw rate in there and it really responds? Or is it a little less responsive, right? You have to really be aggressive on the steering input to get the car to turn in and do what you want. Mid corner, same thing. We're looking at how's the behavior at the apex of the corner. Does the car feel balanced? Does it feel unstable? That's what we're talking about mid corner. And then exit response, same thing as the entry. How does the car feel on the exit? Do you have to really be really aggressive on the steering input to get it to get the line that you want out of the corner? Is it too sensitive? You know, if you breathe on the steering wheel, do you get to oversteer? So we're really starting to break up what corners we're looking at on the track. We're breaking them up by corner entry, mid corner, and corner exit, because we can do certain things in the setup based on the entry, mid corner, exit phase, right? We can think of the entry or exit as transient behaviors and the mid corner as our steady state. That being said, if the apex is really bumpy, it could be also a little transient in nature, but for now we're just going to kind of consider that to be the steady state. So the way this works is I have a little legend here too. You need a standard way that everyone on your team knows what the nomenclature is. So the way we do this is for transient phases, it's a 0, -1, 0, 1. -1 means it's a lack of response. You have to be aggressive on the steering input. 0 means it's perfect, feels real good, or it's within your acceptable criteria. And then 1 means it's over responsive. I'm having an issue with it, the car being too sensitive on corner entry. Mid corner, we break it up to understeer, neutral, or oversteer. Obviously, understeer means the car is understeering, it's pushing in the corner. Neutral steer means it's acceptable, it's within your tolerance. And then oversteer means the car is obviously unstable at the mid corner. Exit response, same thing as entry. -1, 0, 1. -1, you have to be really aggressive on the exit. 0 is perfect, and +1 means it's too sensitive. So the way you do this is you do a setup revision. So for this one, it was the 0.1 setup that we did. So it's pretty much the basic setup, the first baseline setup we sent out for evaluation. I drove it, did some laps after gathered my thoughts. I came in here and evaluated each corner, right? Okay, turn 1, how's the entry? How's the mid corner? How's the exit? Do that for all the turns. And then we wait for everyone else on the team to do the exact same thing. So they're going to go drive that same setup, kind of rate it and evaluate it, and then give their results. And then same thing with our last teammate, Nick here. If you do have notes, you can definitely capture those notes on the side if you want to add a little bit of clarification here. But what we're really trying to do is come up with a standard way to define the setup in equal kind of definitions, right? And start to see if we see kind of some overlapping behavior here. So you can see I have some of these things highlighted yellow or orange. That's just to help me identify, you know, where the deltas are here. So you can see anything that I have marked yellow or orange means it was kind of unacceptable, right? And then I can evaluate. So I'm actually going to look at all of the feedback together and then see where there's kind of like correlation. So, you know, what I'm not looking for is if I said corner 11 was under responsive on the entry, and then Marcus or someone else said it was over responsive, then that would be a good indication that it's just a disagreement in driving style. It's not really a car setup issue. But if, let's see, for an example here, well, actually that corner, we both said it was under responsive, both me and Marcus. So that's an area that we both want to focus on, right? Because we both are having issues there. So if we focus on alleviating that, we're both going to get value out of that. So that's what we're really looking for. So here at the bottom, I do a summary view of rolling up all the deltas that everyone gave, and then trying to find out where we really need to focus on. So when you do this, you can really start to see some kind of correlations here, right? If you look at most of this feedback, look, all of the entry is -1s. We don't really have any positive ones. So everyone, any corner that we do have an issue, everyone thinks it's a little under responsive. Mid corner, same thing. The only exception to the rule, every mid corner is pushing except corner 4. But look at corner 4. Corner 4 is a high speed corner. So maybe it's a high speed stability issue, right? So maybe we have a natural tendency for the car to be kind of pushy, kind of understeering, but maybe this corner 4, high speed corner, maybe the center pressure is a little too far forward, right? So we can start to think about that in different, you know, dynamics, different types of turns and ways that we can isolate them. And then same thing on the exit. Look, exit, pretty much everyone except for turn 3 said it was under responsive on the exit. So if we start to really think about what this car is doing as a whole, everyone thought that the car was under responsive and pushy. So that tells me, okay, we need to make a pretty big leap to bring some response into this car. We need to make it a little bit more bring it a little more towards oversteer on the mid corner and bring some response into the car. So I'm already thinking, you know, moving that lateral stiffness backwards so we get more low transfer on the rear, maybe lowering the rear wing to get a little bit more forward COP, things like that, things that I'm already kind of thinking about the setup. So we did that. We made some changes based on this feedback. We came up with 0.2 and we did the exact same thing. It looks like we kind of skipped 0.2. So I think we did a few here offline. But that's what you do. You just keep iterating to it until you get something that everyone is happy with. And again, this is a really good way to start to identify where all the feedback is kind of concentrated. So you can see on this roll-up view, this is all feedback where people all agreed that this was an issue of the car. So that's how we do setups for teams.